Just a quick one before we start, ladies and gents. There's a public Discord server I've formed. There's about 1,500 people on it at the moment. The link is in the description below. If you jump in there when we do live streams and stuff, we're going to start utilizing that channel. There's games, there's fun, there's frivolity, there's the je ne sais quoi that is the Bushka on Blitz community. So get into it right now if you haven't already. Roll it. Well, hello there, humans, bees, earthlings, whoever you are, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and if you're lucky enough indeed to be doing it too. Welcome back to channel on Bushka on Blitz. Today we're going to be talking about the Chinese TDs. Now, this is the one that I think is extra special in the line. Very, very extra special. This is the T-34-2G-FT. Now, the reason I think this one is particularly extra special, there's a lot of factors involved in this, but it's a specific thing. It plays very, very sneaky, very, very sneaky indeed. And yet, it's got the kind of firepower that you'd expect from something that's a lot more burly and a lot less nimble. It is really, really nimble. The tank that it reminds me the most of is it's like a cross between an SU-122-44 and an E-25. It is very low to the ground. It is quite quick. It'll get out and do a lovely 50 kilometers an hour. The 122-44 will do 48, by the way. So, you know, you're talking about two very similar tanks in terms of speed. But the difference is the 122-44 has an armor profile. This tank has absolutely crap armor. But they both have a 122mm gun. Now, the E25 reference comes because it is very low and it is very nimble. Not as low and nimble as an E25, but it has certain elements of that playstyle. And you combine those two things together and you get a tank that, if you are an experienced tanker particularly and you know how to take advantage of those physical characteristics, wow, it's a good drive. This is, for me, the best tank in the line. And it's not a premium tank kind of gun. By that I mean you actually get penetration on this 122mm. You get 192mm of pen on the AP rounds. And if you fire HE rounds, like I did there for that 575 shot, only 61mm of pen, but that's fine on a 22mm. On a 122, you'd expect that. For your heat, though, you go all the way up to 250mm of pen. So you've got plenty of pen, and you've also got plenty of DPM. The 122-44, which is the premium 120mm gun, it has 2,766 DPM, which is a lot of DPM for a premium tank with a 120. This thing gets 2849. It gets 3% more damage per minute, which is great. Like, we all love damage per minute. They're good numbers. We like big numbers. But it gets it with good pen. And it gets it with better mobility in my mind. Its acceleration is better than the 122-44s. It's certainly got the same kind of terrain resistance stats as a 122-44, but because of the lack of the armor, I think, and its lighter weight, it feels very much like it's going to go faster, and it gets there quicker. And that's where the start of the reference to the E25 comes in. But it is also very, very low to the ground, and its camo rating feels fantastic for a tank with a 120mm gun. And that 122mm gun, as you can see here from Mr. H, allows you to be more effective at higher ranges. Now, he might have got a bounce there, but he's been doing pretty good work up until then. And the reason you like your DPM to be delivered in big doses like this, let me break it down for you. Like the E25 has more DPM, 5% more DPM in fact, but it does its damage in 160 alpha doses. So very, very small amounts of damage inflicted very, very fast. This is a lovely blend. These kind of tanks are a lot better for you because they deliver massive big amounts of damage. Like 400 alpha at tier 7 is a lot of alpha, right? But it does it very quickly. Like you're on the reload with this thing, and it does not take you a hell of a long time, 8.42 seconds to reload a 400 alpha shell. I mean, you're firing this thing like 7 times a minute. That's a lot of damage to be outputting with a 400 alpha shell. Think of it this way. The same kind of gun that an IS-6 uses at tier 8 as a heavy tank Only the IS-6, only, you know, or a T-34. A T-34 uses this kind of gun. In fact, the T-34 is probably a better point of reference. It uses this gun and it fires at 5 rounds a minute. This thing fires an extra 1,200 damage every minute. That's a lot of damage, guys. It's a huge amount of damage upgrade. Not an extra 1,200, sorry. An extra 800 round damage per minute. That's 2 shots. Good God. I'll get there eventually. 8.42 seconds is a reload time. Not freaking 6.42 seconds. Thank you very much, Mr. H, for that video. This is me. This is a game I had also on Castillo. I hadn't even thought of that. Yeah, these 2 games were the same. And we had the weirdest team here. I also got abused in the chat afterwards by our KV1S, who is a complete clown. And I looked at his numbers. His numbers weren't very good. And he just seemed to go off at me because you're going to see anyway. We end up with 4 tanks on our team sitting in the middle of the cap circle getting farmed. 4 of them. And he wants me to go down there and join them. And he's perturbed. Doesn't quite understand why I'm not moving in my T-34. The T-34-GT has no armor. Has absolutely no armor. The armor's crap. If you rely on the armor, you're doing yourself a big disservice because the armor will let you down. Well, it won't really let you down. It just won't pop. It's not there. Does not exist. Your traverse speed, by the way, is 55 degrees per second. 55.5 when you're maxed out. You can get it up to 56 if you run the double rations. And that's great because that is an awful, awful lot of traverse speed. But as you can see there, you're not going to block a lot of shots. You do have a little bit of frontal armor, but again, it's just not reliable at all. You can't use the armor on it and expect to come off anything but second best unless you're playing against very, very low pan tier 6 tanks. That's the only time it feels like it's going to be at all reliable. There are a lot of, like that Sentinel you might be a chance with, but there are a lot of tanks out there who play like this, but at tier 7 they don't have the punch. That 400 alpha punch you have is really, really important. Tanks like that Jag Panther, for instance, they can get the DPM out there, but they don't have the power of a 122mm Chinese knockoff. And that's really important. You can see we've got like all these tanks in the middle of the cap circle, and the KV1S is about to drive in there as well. And they all get farmed. All of them. Like, they just get absolutely farmed. It's bizarre. I don't understand why they do it, but there you go. They're all in there now. They're 4 tanks. 4 tanks inside the cap circle with 6 reds left alive. And, you know, it's no surprise that they know exactly where everyone is and their TDs farm them. Like, it's just weird. So I've moved all the way around the top here. The mobility on this tank, just lovely. Absolutely lovely. Absolutely gorgeous. The camo's absolutely gorgeous. The firepower is brilliant. In my mind, this is the best tank in the tier. Like, legitimately, just the best tank, not in the tier, in its tech tree. What it brings to the table is so lovely, especially if you're... Yeah, now, he's telling people to get in the cap circle now. And I don't understand what he's doing. SBG. He went off at me afterwards. Look at him saying 34. Go. He wants me in that cap circle. Like, you're an idiot. He went off at me in chat afterwards. Called me a lot of rude names. Questioned my mother's... I mean, I think he called her a pig and all this kind of stuff. He was a nightmare. Anyway, he's an idiot. Go 34. Go where? Where exactly am I meant to go? Like, what am I meant to be doing here? I am still full health. I've got 3,000 damage, and I've moved and rotated in a lovely fashion. I'm now going to go and find their 122-44, who I'm pretty certain is somewhere around here in the cap circle. Why would I go and sit in the cap circle with the other Muppets and get farmed like the rest of you? Like, this is really, really odd. I don't understand why you think that's a good idea. And here we go. I would say the aim time on this tank is one of the least friendly attributes. You can see here, the reticle gets a lot of use. Like, it goes to all the way to the edge of the circle. What I do now is obvious to most people that know how to drive tanks. It's not obvious to our KV1S. I am spotted. I accidentally pressed the button here, by the way. That was not meant to happen. I was just seeing if I could get an angle on that other guy. I'm spotted. I'm letting the camo reset before I go running back around the other side and change the angle of attack and clean up both these guys. But that's our WTF are you doing? Like, I don't think this guy's ever played above tier 8, honest to God. Go back to the cap circle, buddy. That's where you do your best work. Anyway, 3,400 damage, and we're now going to flank around. He's in the cap circle. I know exactly where he is. He's low health. They're both low health. I'm going to go around. I'm going to put my very bad self underneath the level of the cap circle so he can't see me. I mean, that's the height we're talking about, and this is that 400 alpha delivered right to the face. Does all kinds of good things. Yes, thank you. Then we drive forward, hide behind another tank. Excellent stuff. I mean, look at the size of it compared to it. Look at all these mugs in the cap circle. Wrecked. There he is. He's still up there. Yes, thank you, mother, for the rabbits. I'm Bushka. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Great fun time. Great fun tank. I cannot recommend this tank highly enough. It is an outstanding vehicle. It will not let you down and is probably the best in the line. 4,100 damage, mastery badge. Absolute little crackerjack rip snorter. Until next time,